Hello, students. I am Sam sir, and we are going to study the fourth chapter of your history, and the topic of the chapter is Mughal Empire. Now, just in order to keep this series of videos short, I have divided it into three parts, and this one is the first part of it. Just make sure you watch all the three parts. Now, the Mughal rulers, we're talking about these seven: Babur, Humayun, Sher Shah Suri. These three will be talking in this video. And in the second part, we'll be talking about Akbar the Great, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan. And in the third part, we'll be talking about Aurangzeb and something else apart from that. That is the policy of the Mughals, what their courts looked like, and were the what was the administration in those days. So the timeline for the Mughal dynasties in India is from 1526 to 1666 CE, and they established a very big kingdom, a very large empire. They were good administrators, they were brave warriors, and they left a political legacy that keeps them alive till today. The Mughal emperors took interest in keeping the records of their achievements and other important aspects. They used to patronize historians and people who wrote their biographies. Some of them wrote their own autobiographies. Now, out of the seven Mughal rulers that you just saw in the previous page, uh, the first six, that is from Babur to Shah Jahan, are known as the Great Mughals. Now, the first one is Zahiruddin Babur. He was a learned man who could speak Persian, Turkish, and Arabic, and we come to know him about his personality, his kingdom, and his reign through memoirs such as the Tuzuki Babari or Baburnama. He reigned from the year 1526 to 1530. Babur was the first Mughal emperor who ruled in India. He was born in a place called Farghana in the Central Asia, and he was just 12 years old in 1491 when he began ruling over Farghana. And during this time, the Lodhis were ruling over the Delhi Sultanate that you have read in the previous chapters. The rulers were not happy with the Lodhis. The nobles who were under the Lodhis were not very happy about the way the Lodhis were ruling. So these people, these nobles, they invited Babur to India, and he found India very attractive, and he started ruling here. He tried conquering Samarkand but failed, and he conquered Kabul in 1504. Just imagine that he was only 23 years old. He was just a young youth when he started becoming a conqueror. Now the rulers who opposed the Lodis, they invited Babur to India to defeat the Lodis. And Babur was after the wealth and richness of Hindustan. This lured him to launch an expedition to India. There are two major battles which are important involving Babur. The first one is the first battle of Panipat, and the second one is the battle of Kanwa. Now, in the first battle of Panipat, which took place in the year 1526, Babur faced Ibrahim Lodi, and Lodi had a huge army, but Babur had an excellent and experienced cavalry. Cavalry are the soldiers who are mounted on horses, and also he had very good artillery. Artillery means the field guns, what you call as top in Hindi. Now Babur defeated Lodi and conquered Delhi and Agra. That is how his reign in India started. Now this is a scene from that battle. The second important event was the Battle of Khanwa. That was just 1 year after the first battle of Panipat. That was in the year 1527. The Battle of Khanwa took place. and Babur fought against Rana Sanga of Mewar and easily defeated him. And 2 years later, he also defeated the Afghan chiefs at Kagra. And in just 4 years, Babur conquered a number of territories. Now, just imagine the map of India from the Himalayas, which are in the north, to Gwalior, which is in the Malwa Plateau, and from west, from the plains of Indus River, and to Bihar, which is the other extreme of the Gangetic Plain. He conquered such a large area in just 4 years, and he held to this conquered area till his death in the year 1530. This is seen from the Battle of Khanwa. Now, we read about Humayun. His full name was Nasruddin Muhammad Humayun, and the two uh, dates you find here in the bracket is 1530 to 1540 and 1555 to 1556. And between 1540 and 1555 he was not ruling over India. So that is the reason why these two are given as two different dates. Now Humayun, the word itself means lucky, but his real life was not like that. His real life was full of problems because he faced a lot of disturbances. He was left alone because his brothers, he had three brothers, Kamran, Hindal, and Askari, they did not support him. They were not happy because these three brothers were given small areas. The land which they got was very small. And now the Humayun's tumultuous life can be divided into three parts or three phases. This is Humayun for you. The first phase is the 10 years from 1530 to 1540. This was a time of struggle and stress. He had a tough time against the Afghan king Sher Shah Suri of Bihar and Bahadur Shah of Gujarat. Sher Shah and Humayun fought for the first time in the year 1532. Humayun won this battle and he conquered the fort of Chunar, which is in Uttar Pradesh now. Humayun captured Gujarat in Malwa and Malwa in the year 1534. And after defeating Bahadur Shah, but he did not have time to consolidate his empire. And that is the time when Sher Shah attacked Humayun because he was already not fully recovered from the battle of 1534. And that is the reason why when Sher Shah attacked Humayun in the next year, he could easily defeat Humayun. And this happened in two battles. One was in Chausa and the other one was in Kannauj. The second phase of his life is from 1540 to 1545. These 5 years saw Sher Shah Suri taking away his empire. Sher Shah Suri had already defeated him twice, and now he took away his empire. And the worst part is he drove Humayun out of his own empire. Now that made Humayun a refugee, and he escaped to Persia, and where he spent 15 years in exile. During this time, Sher Shah Suri and his successors, they were ruling supreme in India. The third phase of his life was from 1545 till 1555, this 10 years. Humayun made Kabul his base and made preparations to recover the lost territories of India. He was he did not come to India from Persia, and he just made Kabul his base, and from there he was trying to regain his lost areas. By that time, Sher Shah had died, and the successors of Sher Shah were not very strong. So Humayun succeeded in the year 1555-56, and he could recover the throne of Delhi. Now, this man Humayun, he had a library. The name of the library was known as Sher Mandal. It so happened that he accidentally fell down from its stairs, and it was in the year 1556 that he died. This is a photograph of Sher Mandal. This is where the Humayun's tomb is now in Delhi. The next ruler is Sher Shah Suri. His real name was Farid Khan, and he was the son of an Afghan Jagirdar from Jaunpur in Uttar Pradesh. He killed a tiger, and so he got the title of Sher. He was the most famous ruler of the Sur dynasty. The Sur dynasty did not last long, in spite of Sher Shah being a fine ruler with exemplary qualities. He defeated Humayun in two battles. We just spoke about that, and he became the Sultan of Delhi. He had a strong kingdom. He built it in just 5 years, and his empire extended from Jhelum, which is in the Indus plain, to Brahmaputra, which is on the the other extreme of India. Jhelum is in the western extreme, and Brahmaputra is in the eastern extreme. And from Himalayas in the north to Narmada in the south. Narmada river flows through Madhya Pradesh now. Sher Shah Suri was known to be a good administrator, and he improved the administration of his territories, and he also had a large army. Now, he is known for his concern and welfare of his subjects. There was an historian named Abbas Sherwani. He observed that Sher Shah was a philanthropist at heart. Philanthropist means anybody who is interested in the welfare of people. He consciously makes efforts so that the life of the common man improves. He was also generous, and there was an order from the this king's court that anybody who needed food could just come to the king's kitchen and get it and eat. Now, Sher Shah, he constructed a highway known as the Grand Trunk Road. In Urdu, it is known as Sarak-e-Azam, and this is from Sonagarh in Bengal, and going up to Multan and passing through Lahore, which is in the Punjab province of Pakistan now. The second road connects Multan to Lahore. There's one more road known as the third road, which links Agra, Jodhpur, and Chittor. If you live in Rajasthan, probably you have traveled on that road without realizing it. Now, this red line in the map denotes the Grand Trunk Road. This is how the Grand Trunk Road or part of it looks like now. If you can manage to read this board, try reading that. Now, about the trade and commerce in the times of Sher Shah Suri, trade and commerce flourished because the interests of the traders and merchants were taken care of. What the traders and merchants needed was low taxation, they needed good raw materials, they needed freedom to trade, including importing and exporting in and out of the kingdom. So these were conducive in the times of Sher Shah Suri. Customs duties were reduced. Custom duties are duties which are imposed to protect the local market from products coming from outside the kingdom which were similar, but if the products out from outside from the kingdom are cheaper, then the local products will suffer. That is the reason custom duties are imposed. Now he introduced a new coin called the rupiah. Rupiah means silver. That word itself means silver. And this is why the Indian currency is known as rupee. The judicial system in Sher Shah's kingdom was impartial. Everybody could be assured that he or she will get impartial hearing and impartial justice. Now, this is the rupiah coin, the front side and the reverse side of it. Now, he is known for being a good builder, not just roads, but even architecture. The Purana Kila or the old forts in Delhi, and the tomb of this man himself, that is in Sasaram in Bihar, are two very good examples of architecture. Now, his son Jalal Khan took over the title of Islam Shah after Sher Shah Suri died. This is the tomb of Sher Shah Suri. It is in Sasaram, which is in Bihar now. We come to the end of first part of the video of this chapter. Be sure to watch the next part, which is following shortly. See you then.